Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It turns out that some controversial situations can be resolved peacefully. More in the first story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Don't let me park in front of my house? Now you can't either. Background. My house is at the head of a T intersection. Basically, there's a street that faces my house. My family had 3 cars, 2 normal cars, and an older car that was a little more beat up, clear coat damage, not ugly, but definitely not a jewel. Our driveway held 2 cars, so my old car and normal car 1 shared the driveway, and normal car 2 parked on the street. One day, a new neighbor knocked on our door and demanded we move our car because it was blocking the intersection. After refusing and saying that we'd been parking there for a couple of years, they called the police and they basically sided with them. We were sure it was BS, but we had a solution. New neighbors also had 3 cars. We took the old car and parked it smack in front of new neighbor's house so that they couldn't park behind it because of a fire hydrant, and parking in front of the car blocked their own driveway. Of course, they asked us to move it, which we refused. They ended up parking in front of their own driveway, which would result in a car shuffle if someone had to leave and their car wasn't out front. They eventually knocked on our door again and apologized. They had a printed copy of local parking laws, basically showing that we could park in front of our house. Turns out it was a stressful moving and buying experience for them. We're cool now. Wow, good on you for coming up with a non-confrontational way to solve the issue and make your point. And our second story. Mom gets a taste of her own medicine. A new family moved into a new building a few buildings down from ours. They seemed normal at first and didn't interact or socialize with anyone else other than their direct neighbors. Most of the people living in these buildings have been living here for a lot of years and we know each other very well. Now to the story. The son, AH for A-Hat, is a creep. He harassed a lot of girls and women this past month or so. He's about 17 or 18 years old. He passes lewd remarks, whistles, catcalls, tries to grope, pushes elbows, follows girls and women. He followed and tried to grope a 14-year-old girl who told her mom. Her mom talked to other moms before approaching the B mom, aka AH's mom. The moms found out that many of the girls had been at the receiving end of his harassment, even the older women than him and the newlyweds. The remarks he passes are very vulgar and crass to say the least. The moms visited the B mom to talk about it on a Sunday, and guess what the B mom said? Tell your daughters not to dress like sluts. What's my son supposed to do? Do they pray like they're goddesses? They'll get what they deserve. My son's only talking. Keep an eye on your daughters, otherwise other men will do more than just talk. Yeah, she said this. When they told her he was also harassing married women, she said, ask these newlyweds to keep their sexy side for their husbands in their bedroom. Needless to say, everyone was PO'd. All the girls got together and sent messages to his college friends and groups on social media about his behavior, but it's the boys and young adult men, specifying because they're all 18 to 19 years old, that stole the cake. They immediately start butting up to AH and congratulating him on getting away with being a hero. He certainly felt proud of it and full of himself, and from Tuesday evening, the revenge party started. Some of these guys, along with AH, were standing near the gate of AH's building entrance when B-Mom arrives from work. As soon as she came near them, all the guys started making remarks on her very loudly. Some of those included, Auntie, keep your sexy side for Uncle in your bedroom. If you walk this way, then I'll have to come with you. Look back, ×3. And more. Most of what they said were words uttered by AH himself and B-Mom herself. AH was mortified and angry, but couldn't do more than cuss them and leave because they were about 4 to 5 guys. This continued every day, twice a day. In the morning when she leaves for work, in the evening when she returns, and whenever someone comes across her when she's out for whatever reason. She's received comments on the way she dresses, the way she walks, the time she comes home, etc. All this is done in front of her son, and whenever he objects, he's told to keep his slutty mom in check because the guys are only talking. What are they supposed to do? Pray to her? Finally, AH broke down and cried yesterday, but didn't apologize. He just called the girls and guys' names and left. B-Mom tried to approach the parents of the boys, and to her dismay, found that most of the boys were brothers or neighbors to the girls who her son had harassed. Quite a few moms also told her not to be slutty as it was a bad influence on their sons. One awesome dad shut the door in her face, saying that he doesn't talk to women who cannot parent their children. PSA, I live in India, so most of the conversation was in Hindi or Marathi. Also, it's a crime to catcall or harass women, even though complaints aren't made about it all the time. Good story. The mom got what she deserved for saying that, even though she herself can't take it. And our last story. Revolution against our HoA. My wife and I moved into a 64 townhome community that was 10 years old at the time. The HoA board was comprised of 5 members that were original homeowners when the community started and had been the sole board members since the community started. Their sense of entitlement was bat crap crazy. They thrived on their quarterly walkthrough of the neighborhood, and they would write up every single home for some kind of violation, regardless of how minor the offenses were. Everyone gets a violation letter. Our first letter, the first month living there, was that our garage door paint was starting to peel. It was a 2-centimeter scrape where the panels met. It needed to be repainted. The siding needed to be power washed. There was a patch of green moss behind a bush, and the sliding door on the deck was dirty. There was dirt on the bottom of the door from recent rain, and it needed to be washed. We had 30 days to fix the issues or begin accruing a fee of $25 a day until they're resolved. I asked around, and everyone gets these ridiculously petty letters every quarter. No matter what you did to maintain your townhome, you were going to get a letter about something. As this was going on, none of the major items in the neighborhood needed fixed were addressed. After a decade since the construction, the ground had settled unevenly, and many homes had standing water issues where it wouldn't drain after a storm. The rainwater would sit for 5 to 7 days in people's lawns, and more importantly, there had been a legal fight with the town since the community had started about our road being dedicated, meaning the town was responsible for snow removal. Our HoA duties included paying for our own snow removal, which we shouldn't have to, and we were paying an attorney for 10 years to fight this with no resolution in sight. Fast forward 2 years, and a few of us had had enough and decided to band together to replace the board at the next annual meeting. The existing board got wind of this and hit us all with pages worth of issues with our properties, since if you have outstanding issues, you're not in good standing with the community, thus cannot run for a board position or even vote for those running. This petty move brought the community even closer, and we all spent the weekend before the meeting helping each other clean out their HoA honey-do lists. We took pictures, documented everything, then we had the U.S. mail certified delivery of each packet with the completed list and photos to the HoA board, who lives 75 feet away. Come board night, oddly enough, the lawyer was there to give an update that no progress has been made with the township on dedicated our road. He stuck around as we moved to the elections for the next board. We brought our signed petitions to add our names to the ballot. The board says we're not eligible as we all have outstanding issues with our property. We call bullcrap with our receipts from the post office that they received our completed list with documentation. They reply that they haven't reviewed them yet. We tell them that's not our problem and we're in good standing. The lawyer overhearing this states that we are eligible to be on the ballot if we can confirm the issues with our homes were resolved prior to the meeting. The HoA president glares at the lawyer, but the lawyer just shrugs, saying, "The rules are the rules." With the exception of the 5 existing board members voting for themselves and each other, we're voted in nearly unanimously to replace them. I lead the revolution because I was tired of the petty BS when there were real problems in the neighborhood. Sadly, the rest of the elected board members vote me as president. I have no idea what I'm doing, but we spent the next few sessions removing all the dumb violations from most of the neighbors. We went through the bylaws to really focus on what's important. What happens next? Ends up that lawyer was a friend of the previous president and was in no hurry to resolve anything as he was enjoying our excessive bill. I notify him if it's not resolved in the next 6 months, we're finding new representation. He was actually good at his job when pressed to do it. He won the case, the town appealed, and tried to drag it out. He fast-tracked the appeal as it had been going on for 10 years, and we won the appeal too. The town dedicated our road, then the lawyer pressed that it should have been done years ago. It wasn't him slowing things down, but the town. He ends up getting us a settlement from the judge for back pay on us paying for snow removal that the town was responsible for. We ended up using that settlement to have French drains installed across much of the community to clear the standing water issues. With the money left over, we fixed a lot of the neighborhood issues that the HoA should have been doing the whole time. Fences and sidewalks in disrepair, replace dead trees and shrubs, etc. It was great getting all that done without having to hit our capital reserve fund. I remained president until we moved a few years ago. Our family began to outgrow the townhome. Now we live in a larger development with a new HoA. I was asked to run for a position on it. I replied, "Not a effing chance, but I'll lead a coup d'etat if I need to." Edit. As to the original HoA president, 50-year-old male, he wasn't actually eligible to be president. He wasn't on the mortgage. The townhome was in his mom's name. No one knew because he held the books. So being the vengeful leader at the next annual meeting, I wait until ex-pres shows up with his petition to try and get his position back. I tell him in front of the other 60-plus homeowners that he can't even be at the meeting, let alone vote or be on the ballot, as his name isn't on the property, but his mom is eligible if she wants to. That was embarrassing enough for the entitled little P. HOAs are like student councils with money. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.